Have you ever placed your deepest trust in someone, only to realize one day that they were the very person who shattered your heart? You once opened your heart, believing they would stand by your side, understand you, and cherish your presence. And when they betrayed you, you whispered to yourself, "I will forgive them. Just this once." Then once more, and yet again. But each time, you could feel something inside quietly breaking. Your sleep grew restless. Your smile felt forced. And in those silent moments, a small voice within asked, "Am I losing myself just to keep them in my life?" You wonder, am I being too rigid for not forgiving them again? Am I a bad person for wanting to let go? But hear this. Forgiveness is a precious gift. But not everyone deserves to receive it. Especially those who refuse to respect you. Who trample over the boundaries you've set. Who disregard the silent tears you've shed alone. Today, we want to share with you the types of betrayal you should never forgive, not because you are bitter, but because your peace, your dignity, and your inner freedom deserve to be protected. You do not need to sacrifice your inner peace just to keep relationships that drain your spirit. You do not need to swallow your pain just to appear okay for others. And you do not need to keep giving chances to those who have repeatedly chosen their selfishness over the trust you gave them. Before you give them one more chance, before you force yourself to smile and forgive again, take a deep breath and watch this video. Because you deserve peace, you deserve respect, and you deserve to continue walking your path without being chained by the wounds left by others. In all the years I've worked with people trying to reclaim peace after heartbreak, I've seen so many smile and forgive just to keep the peace. They tell themselves, "Maybe I'm too sensitive," or "They didn't mean it," or "I should just be more forgiving." But slowly, they lose their own voice. I remember a man once telling me that, after 20 years of marriage, he no longer knew what it felt like to be truly heard. His wife made every decision, from what they ate to how they managed finances, how he spent time with friends, and even choices about his career. He stayed silent, fearing conflict, believing it was his sacrifice for the family. But one day, he looked in the mirror and realized he no longer recognized the man staring back at him. You see, when someone repeatedly crosses your boundaries, they aren't just taking your time or your space, they're taking your sense of identity. And sometimes, we let them do this because we fear losing the relationship. We confuse compliance with kindness. We mistake silence for maturity. But Stoicism does not teach us to stay silent in the face of injustice toward ourselves. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You always have the option of having no opinion. There is always a choice to not react to nonsense." But he never said you must allow others to trample your boundaries. Self-respect is not selfish. It is the foundation of every healthy relationship. Because when you allow someone to cross the boundaries you have set, you are not only betraying yourself, you are teaching them that your peace and your dignity do not matter. I know, sometimes you might say, "But I love them," or "They're my family." But love is not a reason to abandon your self-respect. Family is not an excuse for someone to hurt you. If they truly love you, they will learn to honor the boundaries you set, even when it is hard. I know, sometimes you might say, "But I love them," or "They're my family." But love is not a reason to abandon your self-respect. Family is not an excuse for someone to hurt you. If they truly love you, they will learn to honor the boundaries you set, even when it is hard. Forgiveness does not mean keeping someone in your life when they do not respect you. Forgiveness can be a way to release the burden of resentment, but it can also be a way of saying, "I deserve peace, and I am willing to walk away to protect it." You might be thinking of someone right now, someone who has crossed your boundaries, even after you clearly expressed them. Maybe you feel guilty at the thought of leaving them, or afraid of being alone without them. But you know what? The loneliness that comes with peace is far better than the presence of someone who repeatedly violates your boundaries and steals the freedom of your mind. Today, I am not encouraging you to become rigid or cold. I am encouraging you to love yourself enough to say, "These are my boundaries. And if you cannot respect them, you cannot stay in my life." This is one of the most powerful ways to live a stoic life, not with bitterness or resentment, but with calm, unwavering commitment to your values without compromise. When you begin to set boundaries and protect your peace, you will face a hard truth: not everyone values honesty. There are people who will look you in the eye, smile, and say what they know you want to hear, while hiding the truth somewhere else. At first, you may think it's just a small lie, but over time, you begin to feel the coldness seeping into every moment. Every glance, every conversation, you find yourself sitting in front of a cold cup of coffee, quietly asking, "Is what they're telling me even true?" Have you ever felt that way? The feeling of wanting to believe their promises, yet deep down knowing nothing will change. The feeling when you tell yourself, "I will give them one more chance," only to discover that they continue to hide things, continue to deceive you, and continue to let you down. I once knew a woman in her 50s who used to be full of life. She loved quiet mornings, warm weekend meals with friends, and the sight of her own smile in the mirror each day. But little by little, the light within her began to fade. She discovered that her husband had been hiding calls, messages, and unexplained outings. She knew, but she chose to forgive. She told herself, "If I love enough, if I am patient enough, things will change," but they didn't. He continued to lie, continued to apologize, continued to promise, and with each cycle, she quietly lost a piece of herself. Her smile became rare, her nights became sleepless, and those warm gatherings with friends disappeared from her calendar. Instead, she lived in anxiety each time his phone vibrated, each time he left the house without telling her where he was going. You see, lies are not just about the truth, they are thefts of your peace. Every lie, no matter how small, is a crack in the relationship, and when you choose to turn a blind eye, that crack will only widen until everything collapses. Stoicism does not ask you to carry hatred in your heart, but it does demand that you live in alignment with the truth and protect your own peace. Marcus Aurelius once said, "See things for what they are," and the nature of a lie is a choice that prioritizes their convenience over the respect you rightfully deserve. Forgiveness is not a gift you are obligated to give to those who are unworthy, just to preserve a relationship already fractured. Forgiveness is not an excuse for them to continue deceiving you without facing accountability. Forgiveness should not require you to lose yourself just to keep them around. You might be thinking of someone right now. Someone who once said, "I promise I won't hurt you again," only to hurt you again. Someone who once looked you in the eyes and said, "I only love you," and you later discovered they were not being honest. Someone who apologized, and apologized again, only to repeat the same patterns. You deserve the truth. You deserve a life where you do not have to doubt, where you do not have to live in fear, where you do not have to search through messages trying to find answers to the unease inside your heart. And if they cannot give you the truth, you owe them nothing, not your presence, not your continued forgiveness. Sometimes, loving yourself is not about forgiving, not about waiting for them to change, but about leaving, quietly, firmly, so you can reclaim the peace you have lost. This is how a Stoic walks away, not with bitterness or hatred, but with a calm resolve, leaving spaces of deception behind to protect the precious peace within. You know, after the lies, the most painful part is not the hidden truth, but the realization that they were never truly loyal to you in the first place. Someone once told me, "Betrayal is not an accident, it is a choice." And you know what? That is more accurate than any comforting words you could hear. When someone betrays your trust, They know exactly what they are doing. They know they are placing your trust beneath their desires, their selfishness, or their easy choices. It is not accidental, it is deliberate. And it robs you of more than just a relationship. It robs you of the safety you once felt in their presence. I have met many people who, after deep wounds, still choose to forgive betrayal. They hope that one more chance will change everything. They believe that love, if big enough, will keep the other person from leaving or lying again. But forgiving betrayal without true change from the other person is a betrayal of yourself. It is a betrayal of the trust you owe to yourself. It is a betrayal of the boundaries you have worked so hard to build. It is a betrayal of the peace you fought to regain after countless sleepless nights filled with anxiety and doubt. Stoic philosophy does not teach you to live in anger. But it does teach you that your peace is more important than any relationship built on betrayal. Marcus Aurelius once reminded us, "Act in accordance with your highest nature." And that nature never aligns with deception or the betrayal of others. I want you to understand this. Loyalty is not an obligation, it is a choice. And you, too, have the right to choose for yourself. The right to walk away when someone has betrayed the loyalty you once honored. The right to protect your peace and your values. You deserve loyalty, and if they cannot offer you that, you owe them nothing, not your presence, not your continued forgiveness. There is a truth few want to face. Once trust is broken, it is nearly impossible to restore it to what it once was. You may have experienced that moment, when you discover a hidden truth, a quiet betrayal, and the trust you once felt simply vanishes. Not immediately, but from that moment on. Every word they say, every action they take, leaves you silently asking, is it true this time? You still want to believe them. You still want to hold on to a relationship that once meant so much. You tell yourself, maybe this time will be different. But deep down, you know you no longer trust them. And that quiet doubt begins to steal your sleep, your joy, and your peace of mind. Betrayal is not merely a mistake, it is a conscious choice. And when they chose betrayal, they also chose to lose their place in your life, even if you are not yet ready to let go. Stoicism does not teach you to live in resentment, but it does teach you to see things exactly as they are. And the truth is, the more you continue to give chances to those who have betrayed your trust, the more you place yourself at risk of being hurt again. You do not need to prove your capacity for forgiveness by accepting betrayal again. You do not need to maintain a relationship simply to avoid loneliness when their presence is stealing the most precious peace within you. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. And you have the power to walk away from relationships that no longer offer you safety, trust, or respect. You deserve a life where you do not have to doubt, where you do not have to check someone's phone or scrutinize their words to ensure they are being honest with you. And if they have chosen to betray your trust, you also have the right to choose to leave, to protect yourself. If you are still here, listening until the very end, I believe it is because you are seeking true peace in your life. Learning to let go of relationships that no longer honor your trust. Learning to walk away without bitterness. Learning to love yourself enough to leave. This is not an easy path. But it is the path that will allow you to become the strongest, freest version of yourself. If these words have resonated with you, I invite you to stay with me on this stoic journey. Hit the subscribe button, and when you are ready, return here each week, where you will find practical, calm, and clear perspectives on how to navigate your relationships and your life. Because you deserve a life free from betrayal, free from lies, and free from having to apologize for putting your self-worth first. And if you feel called, share your story in the comments below. I read every one of them. And together, we can grow, quietly but steadfastly, Just as a Stoic moves through the storms of life,